Could Jill Roberts from Scream 4 still be alive? Let's talk about it.
Certain rules. Push the laws and you end up dead.
This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back to life.
Not in my movie.
Surprise, Sydney.
He's gone mad.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
A very simple formula.
You want to play psycho killer?
Everybody's a suspect.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.
I'll be right back.
Okay, I think it's gonna go something like this.
What's up? I'm Pamela. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about another Scream theory, whether or not Jill Roberts could still be alive. This is something that we talk about quite often on my live streams, but I don't know if I've ever done an actual video on it, so I thought it could be fun to talk about today. This is a popular theory amongst Scream fans. You guys know I am a huge Stu believer. I think Stu Macher is 100% alive and will return in Scream 7. But I am also a fan of the Jill Roberts theory and her possibly being alive. I think if there's any other Ghostface other than Stu who could still be alive, I do think it would be Jill. I gotta start off by saying, of course, this was the original plan. Jill Roberts was initially supposed to survive at the end of Scream 4 and get away with it to carry on into Scream 5. The original ending for Scream 4 was going to be at Kirby's house when everything goes down. That was going to be the original ending. The whole hospital scene was added last minute.
The ending of the movie was supposed to be at the house. I mean, this is just silly. Consider this an alternate ending.
So Jill was going to get away with it. Sydney was going to sort of have amnesia and forget that Jill was Ghostface. In Scream 5, we would have followed Jill going to college with a new Ghostface who is kind of stalking her and knew her secret, that she was the Ghostface in Scream 4. Obviously, that did not happen, which I think about this all the time. What could have been if they had continued with the franchise, you know, over a decade ago, back in 2012, if they had made Scream 5 shortly after Scream 4. I think it would have been such a great movie. Jill Roberts is honestly one of my favorite characters. She's definitely in my top 5 Ghostfaces. I think after Billy and Stu, the originals, she's my favorite. And honestly, something that I noticed in one of my most recent rewatches of Scream 4, the last shot of Jill, her face, when she's laying on the floor, she looks like she's kind of moving a little bit. It's very subtle, hard to notice, you gotta look close, but it looks like her face is moving a little bit. So that could be a little sign that she's possibly alive. And one of my many Stu clues is the fact that after the TV drops on him, you can still see him breathing just before the camera pans away from him. Again, it's very subtle, but you can see his stomach move a little bit like he's breathing. And the reason that I say this is a clue for Stu is because back in 2012, someone tweeted at Wes Craven asking him if Kirby is really dead. And he said, she's still moving the last time we see her. And then of course, Kirby came back all these years later, like a decade later, but Wes Craven always knew that Kirby was alive and that Kirby was going to come back had he continued with the franchise back then. So if one of Wes Craven's rules is the last time you see a character, they're still moving, that means they're alive, then, you know, we can take this into consideration for not only Stu, but also Jill. And I mean, she wasn't shot in the head, so it's always possible. Just the fact that this franchise literally emphasizes multiple times that unless you shoot the killer in the head, they can always come back. And she was not shot in the head. So is it possible? Absolutely. Emma Roberts even said relatively recently, this was maybe like a year ago at this point, maybe a little over a year ago, but she was being interviewed and she was asked what movie would she love to revisit? What would she love to return to? And she said probably Scream. She feels she wasn't done with the franchise.
If you got to be in another horror franchise, which one would you pick?
Maybe I'd go back to Scream. I feel like I wasn't done with Scream.
Well, that's interesting. I like to hear that.
So just the fact that the original plan was for her to survive And the fact that Emma Roberts is open to coming back, I just think that would be so perfect. And I just feel like the fact that Kirby is back, that would be a good way to set up Jill's return as well. You know, there's some connection to Scream 4 with Kirby being back. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I do believe Stu Macher is alive and leading this cult of ghost faces, which will be revealed in Scream 7. So just imagine if Jill is kind of working with Stu, leading this cult. What if she's a part of Stu's cult, or kind of like his partner leading the cult? I honestly just think that would be so good to have not just Stu return, but Jill also return. Will they do it? I don't know. I feel like probably not, just because a lot of Scream fans out there already have a hard enough time wrapping their head around Stu coming back. So to bring back not one, but two past killers, that might just be too much for people to believe. I personally would love it. Like I said, there's no doubt in my mind that Stu is coming back. So for me, if they revealed Stu, my mind will already be blown. I will be sitting in that theater seat like, holy sh**. And then imagine, you know, we get a couple scenes with Stu, a few minutes goes by, and then they also hit us with Jill. I will absolutely die if that happened. It just absolutely kills me that we did not get this original plan for Scream 5. Scream 4 is my favorite Scream sequel because I love Jill and Kirby. At the time when that movie came out, I was already huge fans of Emma Roberts and Hayden Panettiere. So if we got another movie a year or two later with them both returning, oh my god, I would have loved that. And if that happened, at the time, Kirby didn't know that Jill was the killer. You know, Kirby gets stabbed. We thought she died. At that moment in time in Scream 4, we think Kirby is dead. So she didn't see Jill's reveal. Kirby only saw Charlie's reveal. So imagine Scream 5 a decade ago. Jill got away with it and Sydney has amnesia. Kirby wouldn't have even known at the time that Jill was one of the killers. So if that was the case, then Kirby and Jill both could have remained best friends, gone to college together, and Kirby would have no idea that Jill was the killer in Scream 4, and she could maybe slowly figure it out and put things together. That honestly would have been such a good movie. I don't know, I just think the Scream franchise needs to start doing crazy stuff that we've never seen done before. Obviously, I would much rather Stu come back over Jill, but I would love to see the both of them return. I mean, a killer coming back is something that we've never had before in the franchise. Matthew Lillard has even acknowledged that these horror franchises, that's what they do. They bring the killer back, and it's never been done in Scream before. I think as long as it was done well, written well, I think Stu and Jill coming back together could really work great. I mean, if we got Kevin Williamson writing a little bit on that script, I think it could be so good. But that's it for today. Just wanted to briefly discuss Jill Roberts possibly being alive. And now when you go back and watch Scream 4, look out for that little scene that I mentioned where she kind of moves a little bit. The last shot on her face, lying in the hospital, she kind of looks like her face moves a little bit. But let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Are you a fan of Jill Roberts still being alive? Or do you think it would be a little bit too much? Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Also, make sure you turn on all notifications so that you don't miss out on future videos like this one, future Scream theories, future Scream 7 updates, because as we start to get some more updates, you can expect them all to be posted here on the channel. I'm sure we're going to start getting some more Scream 7 casting updates soon as we approach the filming start date. But thank you so much for tuning into another video, and I will see you guys next time.